Amazing vacation ruined by the entitled Karen. Reddit's shocking family drama revealed. Hello, Reddit people. Welcome everyone to another video full of fascinating and surprising stories. We're about to delve into intriguing narratives that have been shared across the vastness of Reddit. Get ready for a journey through captivating experiences, unique curiosities, and unusual situations that the Reddit community has to offer. Before we begin, if you're not already registered, don't miss the chance to join our community. Subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell and share with everyone you know. We're excited to explore these incredible stories together. Let's go! My boyfriend's cousin insists that we take her kids on vacation. Here's what happened. Subscribe to my stupid YouTube channel and hit the bell for notifications. The paternal uncle's daughter has 4 children, each of whom embodies the word naughty. The cousin in question refuses to discipline them, always makes excuses and criticizes our choice not to have children. She makes sarcastic comments, insinuating that I am selfish and depriving my boyfriend of the joy of raising children. Due to these issues and her generally inappropriate behavior, my boyfriend cut ties. However, during his parents' anniversary celebration, we met his cousin again. His father encouraged him to reconcile with his cousin, so we tried to be kind. During the conversation, my boyfriend mentioned that we were going to Melbourne in a few days. The cousin's eyes lit up, and she expressed interest. When we mentioned vacation, she complained about the difficulty of having 4 children and hinted that we could take them with us. My boyfriend, being generous, offered a weekend at a resort in Mount Abu, a hill station in Rajasthan. The cousin sarcastically suggested that we take her to Melbourne. My boyfriend explained that we wanted some time alone, but she insisted, criticizing our trip and calling it a cheap getaway. My boyfriend's mother intervened, saying the offer was generous. The stubborn cousin suggested we take her kids to Melbourne so she and my boyfriend could enjoy a quiet weekend. My boyfriend, a patient until then, offered the weekend in Mount Abu as a last attempt. The cousin, irritated, said it was a great idea. My boyfriend rejected it, stating that he wouldn't ruin our vacation by taking care of her children. She insisted that her children are well behaved and that we would take advantage. My boyfriend refused, explaining that we wanted to enjoy the time alone, and she accused us of selfishness. At dinner, she was silent after losing Mount Abu's offer. If only her children had followed her example, I believe that would have been the end of it. However, we seriously underestimated her dedication to her cunning plan. The morning of our departure, the cousin showed up at my apartment with the kids in tow. I was shocked to see her, of course, and asked if something was wrong. She smiled and said she was just dropping off the kids. "You're leaving tonight." Soon after recovering from the shock, I questioned if she had hit her head or something. We clearly said that we would not take their children with us. She tried to convince me that my boyfriend had later agreed to take them. I knew it was absurd and called her out on it. The cousin was furious, accusing me of breaking her son's heart and breaking our promise. I called my boyfriend, put the phone on speaker, and he scolded her harshly in front of her children. She said she would no longer pay for the weekend getaway and that this behavior was the reason he cut ties. The cousin tried to speak, but he didn't allow it. The cousin took her children and kicked us out. I'm still laughing about it, wondering what made her think this plan would work. Update: this morning we spoke to my boyfriend's sister, who told us about the episode after we left. The crazy cousin, Cece, went to cry with her father and other relatives, including my boyfriend's sister. She complained about how my boyfriend humiliated her in front of the children, leaving the children's hearts broken. My boyfriend's sister hung up on her. The other relatives laughed or tried to explain why she was wrong, except her father. The father went to my boyfriend's parents' house, yelled at them for making his daughter and grandchildren cry, complained about the selfish parenting of my boyfriend and his sister. Initially, my boyfriend's father tried to explain, but it turned out that the uncle's logical receptors stopped working a long time ago. He continued to demand that my boyfriend fulfill his promise to pay for the weekend in Mount Abu. My boyfriend's father is patient, but his mother is not. She attacked her cousin's father, calling his daughter useless trash, saying that she thinks the world owes her something. The mother gave my boyfriend's uncle an ultimatum: either his daughter would apologize to us, or they would cut ties with her completely. The uncle is a chauvinist idiot who tried to tell my boyfriend's father to keep his wife under control. My boyfriend's father simply told him to leave and not come back unless he apologized. My boyfriend's parents often help his cousin and her husband financially, often buying gifts for their children without asking for anything in return. My boyfriend's mother is usually a kind lady, but when someone attacks her children, she turns into a mama bear ready to protect them. His sister knew that her cousin might call to bother us during the holidays, so she made it clear that she shouldn't bother us in any way. We thank her for being an MVP. With all that being said, who was the idiot in this whole situation? Children are the ones who suffer the most, supporting their mother who puts them in embarrassing situations, showing up at the operations site before the trip. I assume the kids are old enough to understand what's going on to some degree. If their cousin sends them on a trip without them, they are obviously not babies and old enough to understand. This means they are probably old enough to be embarrassed by a situation like this, which is not under their control. These poor children have to go through all this and grow up with this mother for the rest of their lives. The boyfriend offered a generous offer to cover the expenses of the trip to Mount Abu, going far beyond what could be expected. However, it wasn't enough for her, as she tried to manipulate the situation and lie on air, claiming that her boyfriend changed his mind about going on vacation with the kids. This is short-sighted, as the operation could have called the boyfriend to confirm the veracity of the story. This cousin will likely be someone difficult to get along with for years to come, no matter how the situation is approached. As for the question of whether or not I'm the idiot for kicking my sister and her son out of my house, I'm a 35-year-old man, single father of 3 boys. Their mother passed away last year due to ovarian cancer. My sister got divorced 6 months ago and was temporarily living with me and the boys. Despite the challenges, my home was being shared. However, now, my nephew and my 10-year-old son, although not the best of friends, generally get along well. I get asked about whether or not I'm the idiot for kicking them out of the house. The past year has been difficult, and the current situation is far from ideal, but there are a number of factors at play, including the well-being of children and the environment in which we live. Addressing this situation requires understanding and care, assessing the needs of everyone involved. A few weeks ago, my 10-year-old son began reporting that his cousin was bullying him and being cruel. His cousin cursed him, pushed him, took his video games, among other things. I talked to my sister several times, asking her to talk to her son. We tried to address the situation by talking to the boys together, and things calmed down for a while. Yesterday was my 3-year-old son's birthday, and the whole family was together, including my late wife's family. It was an emotional day for everyone as it was the first anniversary since her departure. However, the boys, aged 10 and 9, started fighting again. I asked them to calm down and behave, but my son started crying, revealing that his cousin made fun of him for not having a mother. I was shocked and asked my nephew if this was true. He confirmed it, but apologized. I planned to have a proper chat with him and my sister after the party. However, my sister came yelling at me, saying it was none of my business to discipline her son. I asked us to postpone the conversation, but she insisted, saying that children need a mother and that I was turning everything into chaos. Tears in my eyes, I begged her to stop and let us cut the cake and talk later. Instead, she said she was right and that she was turning me into a panicked man. My mother-in-law was crying, I was crying, the children were very upset. After the party, he told her he had 2 days to pack his things and leave. Now she is begging me not to kick her out, claiming that she and her children will be homeless. Am I the idiot for kicking her out? Before deciding, there is an update on the outcome. My mother has agreed to take in my sister temporarily, and my nephew will live with his father, as he refuses to let my sister harm their son. Thank you all for the kind words and for sharing stories about loss. My nephew is leaving tomorrow morning, and we will have post-birthday time for my son with ice cream, just me, the boys, and my in-laws. So, was I the idiot for kicking my sister and her son out of my house? Divorce is obviously challenging, but it is not the same as losing a spouse to death. My nephew still has his father there, although they are no longer married. My sister's perspective is not the same as mine, and when she says we both lost our spouses but at least she's still a normal person, the understanding of loss differs drastically. She doesn't seem like a very compassionate person, she seems like someone who is quite insensitive. I can't tell if this is an attempt by the sisters to throw a punch, perhaps she is used to throwing punches in the operation because of past relationships, since I don't have that context. Yet she seems incredibly comfortable saying things like this, even after such a tragic loss. Let me know how you interpret this below, whether or not I'm the wrong person in this situation, and why I'm the wrong person for telling my niece that she doesn't have to wear a dress to my wedding. I am a 32-year-old woman about to get married to my fiancé who will be 41 next year. After our engagement, I suggested it would be cool to invite my fiancé's 15-year-old niece to be a bridesmaid. Although we're not very close, she seems like a nice girl, and I thought it would be a good way to get closer and involve her in some way in the wedding. She is my fiancé's only niece on both sides of the family. A few weeks ago, while visiting my fiancé's hometown to discuss wedding details with his family, I noticed that his niece was dressed more androgynously than I remembered. When the conversation turned to wedding and bridesmaids' dresses, I could tell she was immediately uncomfortable. Her parents, mother, and grandmother started making comments about how she should be more feminine, cut her hair, and so on. I was shaken by this, as I was quite a tomboy as a teenager, and these types of comments always affected me deeply. Her mother made a comment about how nice it will be to see her dressed as a girl for the first time, and her niece looked very sad and embarrassed in response. This hit a raw nerve for me. I immediately declared that my bridesmaid would wear a pantsuit to the wedding, and all the bridesmaids could choose whatever they wanted, as long as it was the wedding color. I showed her several options, including jumpsuits, pantsuits, and tailored tuxedos. I made it clear that she could choose anything that made her feel comfortable, even if she opted for jeans and sneakers. I wanted her to know that the wedding was not a fashion show, but an event where everyone should feel good. The niece was a little excited about this idea, but her mother seemed very upset ever since. I asked my fiancé to push the purchase of the bridesmaids' dresses to avoid conflicts. He doesn't care about her choice, but he wants to avoid arguments on their wedding day. I don't want to back down because I know what it's like to be pressured into wearing something uncomfortable. On the other hand, I know it's just for one day and that it would make the family happy. So, am I the wrong person for trying to override her parents' wishes? Or should she and what she wants in my fiancé's wedding prevail, regardless of what others think? So, they don't have to be as inflexible as they seem. It's not like they can only get married once, so they should clearly explain what's going to happen at their wedding, like Opie is already doing here. She is communicating to her mother that this is how they will dress, with a number of other exceptions. I would say it is different. Oh, maybe they take her feelings into consideration, asking if she wants this or that, but they're not doing anything to offend her. They are not doing anything to hurt her personally. She has this desire for her daughter, which will not be fulfilled on this day because it is her day, not hers. But maybe you see it completely differently. Let me know what you think below, whether or not I'm the one in the wrong in this situation, and why I'm the wrong one for telling my son he wouldn't stop inviting his ex to family functions. My son, aged 44, divorced his wife, aged 43, after getting involved with a younger woman, aged 23. They have 2 children, one aged 12 and one aged 6, and his ex has almost full custody of them. He visits them one weekend a month and has just become engaged to the woman he had the affair with. He told me that I am no longer allowed to invite his ex to family events as his fiancée feels uncomfortable around her. I refused, and now he is very angry with me. My reasoning is that she has custody of the children most of the time, and I want to be able to see my grandchildren often, not just once a month. She's practically been my daughter for 20 years, and the divorce hasn't changed the way I feel about her. In fact, she is closer to most of the family than he is, as she is always the one keeping us updated on family events planned for the kids. Plus, she spends more time with us than he does. Her family lives in another country, and we have been her family for decades. I'm not going to take that away from her just because my son decided to leave her. However, I recognize that I am still very hurt and angry about his actions towards his ex-wife and children. Maybe I'm acting angry. My ex-daughter-in-law is not a controlling or abusive person who caused my son to cheat. She is a lovely person and was an excellent wife to him. He admitted that she was not at fault, but claims that he unexpectedly fell in love when he met his new bride. No one in this situation, including my son, thinks that. My ex-daughter-in-law did everything she could to keep my son faithful, so am I in the wrong for refusing to exclude her ex from our family functions, even though I know it seems selfish on the fiancé's part? She probably knows that her son will do whatever he asks, and if she doesn't want to see his ex-wife due to some slight discomfort, even if it is at the expense of everyone else, the children, the grandparents, etc., then the son will probably do this. He has already asked his father, grandfather, and children not to invite her. In other words, it appears that the groom doesn't care or even consider the feelings of anyone else in the situation. The husband is so blinded by the situation that he doesn't see it as selfish, and the reason she feels uncomfortable is probably not because his ex-wife did something really terrible to her. It's probably because she had an affair with a married man with children. Let me know how you see the situation below. Am I in the wrong for trying to override her parents' wishes? Or should she and what she wants in my son's marriage prevail regardless of what others think? Thank you for following this video until the end on the AITA channel. I hope you enjoyed the stories shared. If you liked it, don't forget to share it with your friends and family, subscribe to the channel, leave a like and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any content. Your participation is essential for the growth of the channel. To the next